This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
Okay, so this is an incredible story. It's about science, it's about fairness, and believe it or not, a vegetable that's probably in your kitchen right now. We're diving into an invention that could literally change the way we heal.
I mean, just imagine this for a second. What if a tiny little stitch, just a normal suture, could tell a doctor there's an infection? It sounds like science fiction, right? But the real genius? Well, it's how it does it. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about no fancy devices, no complicated electronics, no Bluetooth, no screens or monitors, nothing.
And get this, no waiting around for days for lab tests to come back, all while a dangerous infection could be getting worse and worse. Nope, this is all about a simple, immediate, visual cue.
So you're probably thinking, who came up with this brilliant idea? Some huge medical company with a massive R&D budget? Not even close. It was a high school student, a teenager named Dasia Taylor. And for her, this whole thing wasn't just about a cool piece of tech, it was about fairness.
Okay, so her whole journey kicked off when she read about these so-called smart sutures that already existed. And I mean, they were pretty amazing. They could sense changes in a wound and zap an alert right to a doctor's phone. A really fantastic idea, but Dasia saw a huge problem right away.
And this right here, this is the question that sparked everything. I mean, what good is a super smart suture if you don't have a smartphone, or reliable internet, or a high-tech hospital? What good is it for most of the world? So Dasia decided she was going to make a smarter, simpler version, one that would actually work for everyone, everywhere. So she knew right off the bat she needed a low-tech solution, something you could just see with your own eyes. And that's when she turned to chemistry and to nature, and found her answer in, of all places, a common root vegetable.
All right, so here's the basic science behind it, and it's pretty cool. A healthy wound, it's a little bit acidic, but the moment an infection starts to take hold, the whole chemistry changes and it becomes alkaline. It's like the wound is sending out a chemical alarm bell. Dasia just had to figure out a way to see that alarm.
So she started digging into natural dyes, things in nature that change color depending on their pH level. And after a bunch of experiments, she landed on beets. Yeah, beets. And why? Well, it turns out beet juice is this bright red color when it's in a healthy, acidic environment. But it completely transforms into this deep, dark purple at the exact pH level of an infected wound. It was perfect. The perfect natural indicator.
Okay, so having the idea is one thing, right? But actually making it work, that's a whole different ballgame. The real challenge, the big hurdle, was finding the right kind of thread. It had to be a material that could absorb the beet dye, hold on to it, and still be able to change color when it needed to.
And this just goes to show you how dedicated she was. She tested something like 10 different types of thread, and a lot of them just didn't work. She even said later that she juiced around 30 beets during all this trial and error. So yeah, this wasn't some lucky one-and-done experiment. This was just pure grit and perseverance.
And then finally, all that hard work, all those beets, it paid off. She found the perfect combo of thread and dye, and she created exactly what she'd imagined from the start, a simple, clear, visual warning system. And there it is. That's the aha moment. When the suture is bright red, everything's fine, the wound is healthy. But if an infection starts brewing, that thread turns this deep, impossible-to-miss purple. There's no guesswork, no special equipment needed, just a clear, obvious sign that something's wrong.
So the final process is just so elegant in its simplicity. She landed on a cotton polyester blend thread, she dyes it with bee juice, and that's it. That's the whole thing. And when a wound gets infected, the suture changes from red to purple in as little as 5 minutes. We're talking early detection at its absolute simplest and fastest. But this invention was never really just about the science. It all comes full circle, right back to that first problem she wanted to solve, the problem of fairness. It's about creating a tool for healing that can actually work for everyone, no matter where they are. And this is a really, really important point. You know how one of the main signs of infection is redness around the wound? Well, that redness can be incredibly hard to see on people with darker skin. That can lead to a diagnosis being delayed, which is dangerous. Dasia's invention just completely bypasses that problem. What this really does is create a universal standard of care. Beet sutures offer a clear, unmistakable sign of infection for every patient, regardless of their skin color. And that's absolutely crucial in places with fewer resources. This simple little thread, It saves money, it saves time, and most importantly, it's going to save lives.
And you know what the best part is? The story didn't just stop with her winning a high school science fair. Oh no, for Dasia Taylor, this was really just the beginning of her journey. So back in 2021, her invention blew up and got national attention, making her a top finalist in a huge science competition. Fast forward to today, she's a student at the University of Iowa, and she's actively working to turn beet sutures into a real-world product you could actually use. And on top of all that, she's already paying it forward. She runs an educational company to get the next generation of kids fired up about science.
Dasia's story is just such a powerful reminder that the biggest innovations don't always come from the biggest labs with the most money. Sometimes they come from just one person seeing a problem that everyone else has overlooked and having the creativity and the drive to solve it. Which really makes you think, right? If you have a small idea that solves a real problem, who's to say it's really small at all?